Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. Luis Morales here, health fitness specialist with Axos at Autodesk. I am back in Northern California, hence the different background. Still a couch in the background, different color though. Before we get going on this stretch break, guys, as per usual, always open to suggestions and ideas about what kind of areas may need a little bit of extra love or a little bit of extra stretching, or just some kind of general movement. So feel free to drop anything in the chat that you feel is a little tight. What I got going for my own routine today, we'll start with some neck stuff. We'll get into some hips, some legs, and mainly do kind of stuff around the hips. But as always, I'm super open to suggestions. So I'll give you guys a second or two. Feel free to use the chat or come off mute, whatever. Make any kind of suggestions and we can work it into the routine here today. All right, y'all, I'm not seeing a whole lot of stuff in the chat. I'll keep my eye out for that. But in the meanwhile, we can go ahead and get started, and we will start in standing today. So standing today, I'm gonna go ahead and start with some neck stuff, just moving that neck around. So let's plant the feet regular distance apart. Bring that belly button in towards the spine. Squeeze the glutes a little bit. Make sure those hips are just kind of right under you instead of maybe a little bit behind or tilted out of whack. So hips are right under us. We'll relax those arms down by our sides. Start with the chin on the chest, and then we'll create a few big circles in one direction here. So let's go with 4 circles today here, guys. Slowly just taking it through each part of our next range of motion. Breathing as we go. Trying to keep the rest of our body nice and stable, nice and still. Not letting any of those tight neck muscles pull the rest of our body out of alignment. Breathe through that tension, guys. Might hear some pops and some cracks, that's okay. All right, guys, wherever we're at, this last rotation that we're on, we'll end with the chin on our chest and then start to go the other way. Breathe through those 10 spots, guys. Try and bring those ears to those shoulders, to the top of those shoulders. Notice what's tight and what's not. Maybe it's one side or the other. Maybe that's just a certain area of your big circle. Either way, we're breathing through it. And again, still trying to create the largest circle we can. Coming on to our final rotation here. Big, big circle. Nicely done, everybody. Let's end with the chin on the chest here. Can breathe and slowly raise our heads back up. Open the eyes a little bit. Good work, you guys. Shake it out. We can move those shoulders around a little bit. All right, next up, what we're gonna do is get into kind of the inner thighs a little bit. So let's go ahead and develop a wider stance here, guys. Doesn't have to be super, super wide, but something that is wider than our normal stance. We want to make sure that we can still have our feet connected to the ground here. So heels, big toe, little toe, all connected to the ground, and our arch is up off that ground. With the toes pointed forward here, we're going to do a few lateral squats. So let's start with bending that right knee, pushing the hips back, sinking down into that right leg, keeping that left foot all connected to the ground here. So I just want you guys to go down as far as you can so we can feel a little bit of stretch on the inside of that left thigh. And so once we get there, we'll take a breath, feel that position, and push away from the ground, bring our hips back under us, come back to the middle. So let's do the other side now. Bending that left knee, sinking those hips back, go down far enough so you can feel maybe a little bit of stretch on the inside of that right thigh. Appreciate the position, breathe in that position, and then push away from the ground. We'll bring our hips back under us. All right, let's do a couple more each side. Going back to the right side, we're alternating here. Take a breath. Make sure that the knee is going out over the lateral part of the foot. We'll push back into the center, bring the hips back under us. Onto that left side again, bending that left knee. Breathing as we go, guys, looking for a stretch in between the bottom of our hips here and the knee. Back to center. All right, one more time each side. Moving nice and slow with control here. Good job, guys. Good job. Find that inner thigh stretch. Want it to be medium intensity. Let's come back to center. Hips back under us. One more time. Here we go. Left side. Sink down as far as you comfortably can. Maybe finding a little bit of stretch in that right leg. Breathe. And then let's come back to center. Hips are back under us. Nicely done, you guys. All right, so we can heel toe, bring our feet a little more under us now. We're gonna stay in standing for a standing quad stretch. Now, it might help for you guys to have something like a chair, a desk, something that you can put your hand down on in order to make this less of a balancing act. So go ahead and get near something, a wall, if you feel the need to make it more of a focus on the quad and less balancing. But let's go ahead and start by scooping up that left foot behind ourselves with the left hand. We're gonna pull that left foot in so our heel is getting nice and close to our glute. Now, as we do this, we wanna make sure this is a comfortable position that we can kind of maintain, that we can breathe in. We wanna make sure that our knees are right next to each other. So instead of my left knee being way out here, I want it to be nice and close to my right knee. That's where we can get a good, efficient quad stretch. So from here, once we kind of find the balance, stay up nice and tall. Breathe down here into the front of the hip, into the front of that upper leg. Just make it nice and controlled here, guys. Pulling that heel into the glute as best we can. Good job, everybody. Good job. Okay, slowly, last breath here. All right, let's go ahead and slowly release that left foot. Nice and control. We'll bring it back to the ground. Same thing about to happen with the other side. So we'll plant that left foot, find our balance if we need to. Scoop that right foot up into our right hand. Pull that right heel in towards that glute. From here, make sure that our knees are next to each other or really close together. Hopefully we can stand up nice and tall and feel that stretch from the hip all the way down to the knee, hopefully. Good work, everybody. Good work. Heel doesn't have to touch the glute. It's just a target, so we want to be near it. Stretching out the front of that leg. All right, guys, one more breath. Good work, everybody. Good work. All right, slowly, we'll return that right foot back to the ground. All right, now we're gonna come down onto the ground and do a little bit more work on those muscles in front of our body. So let's go ahead and find a nice little half kneeling position here, guys. One knee down on the ground, one leg out in front to support. All right, so one of my favorite stretches here. Let's go ahead and find whatever knee you have down on the ground. I'm starting with my right. We're gonna engage that same side hip. So that right glute, it's gonna have to turn on. We want it to squeeze super hard so our pelvis is nice and tilted. And we can also get some tension into the front of that hip. So once we've engaged the glute here, we're gonna push hips forward just a little bit. Try and find a medium stretch. Now from here, we can go ahead and exaggerate it by reaching up overhead with that same side arm, maybe leaning away from that planted knee a little bit. Feel free to do whatever feels good for you on this nice sunny Monday here in the Bay Area. Whatever you guys do though, try and keep the breathing constant and keep that glute squeezed. Give it a little tap if you need to. From time to time, make sure it's on. We're just breathing into the tension in the front of that hip. Good work, everybody, good work. Keep that glute squeeze going. Coming up onto our final breath. Nicely done. All right, let's shift our weight back. We'll switch over to the other side, whatever knee you had down first. Let's go ahead and switch it over to the other one. We'll go through that same checklist here. So first, squeeze that same side glute. That's going to tilt our pelvis into its correct position. From here, we can push the hips forward just a little bit, trying to find some tension. Make sure we're not staying too upright and squeezing too much of the lower spine. We're keeping that tension in the front of the hip, squeezing that glute, and then from here we can raise the arm up, lean away a little bit if you want. But we're still squeezing, we're still breathing. Good work, everybody, good work. Stay vigilant with that squeeze back here. Don't let it go. Good work, everybody, good work. We need this big time after all the sitting we've been doing lately. Good job, guys. Coming up on the final breath here. Nicely done, everybody, nicely done. All right, we can now relax that glute, bring our weight back onto the back knee, and from here, you guys can stay in that position. You guys can come into sitting, kneeling, or standing. That's all the time I have left for this stretch break here today. Thank you guys for joining me. Don't forget, we do have one more live class offering here today, and that is Abs and Core / Mobility Monday with Brittany. That's at 5 p.m. Pacific. So hope you guys will join for that. That's going to be a fun one. Then tomorrow, our usual slate, stretch breaks at 11 a.m. and 2:30 p.m., followed by Abs and Core with me at 4:30. So looking forward to this week, seeing you guys there. As always, Slack and SharePoint, you guys know what to do. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day. See you guys next time. Bye, everybody.